Heidi ho! Welcome to the Dennis and Andy show. Dennis, do you have something up? Why am I hearing that? Heidi ho! Welcome to Dennis, is that you?
I don't know.
Do you have something up? Why am I hearing that?
Nope, we should be.
So that
Nope.
echo's not coming from you? Was that echo coming from you, Dennis? You can tell me.
I don't know. I'm playing with buttons right now, seeing if we got an echo because we didn't have it before. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I don't hear it now. So, well, anyhow, welcome to the Dennis and Andy show. I'm Andy. The guy I was just berating is Dennis.
As usual.
Who is the tech guy, actually, out of the two of us. So if anybody has a tech problem, I'm not quite sure why it was him. But anyhow, we're here today to interview Mark Primetime Poulton and Clint Hilinski about their new project. Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey, you got it. Actually, thank you guys for being here. You're our first interviews.
Cool.
So hopefully
video interviews.
That's right. Yeah, we actually did do a phone interview before we started doing video, but first video interviews. So how you guys doing?
Pretty
Hanging
good.
in there?
Yeah.
Very cool. So obviously, no need to beat around the bush. We're here to talk about your guys' campaign. Let me get that up. Oh, there it is.
Seadog in the house, yo.
Yeah, and it's volume 2. I did get volume 1, and I let Dennis read it over the weekend. So, there it is.
Nice.
There it is. I read it right after the Super Bowl last night.
And which was more exciting, Dennis?
Hands down, Seadog.
Very cool. Yeah, why don't you, Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So Seadog is my character that I created with my son Chase. Chase is 10 years old. Codename Killswitch is Clint's characters, and I guess it was around the time we were doing the campaign for Graveyard Shift 2, which is another one of my books. Clint reached out to me, and I've known Clint for maybe, I don't know, close to 15 years.
Yeah.
I used to work for Arcana Studio, a publisher based out of Canada, and Clint drew some of the books there, Greatest American Hero and Cade. And he hit me up. He had seen the Graveyard Shift campaign and was like, hey, would you be interested in working on something together? And at the time, my son and I, because my son got so invested in the Graveyard Shift campaign because the second book the first book did great. It did over $100,000. The second book did even better than that. I think we did like 175. And my son...
Nice.
My son got all wrapped up in it every day, asking me like, "How's it doing?" And he had worked on projects with me in the past, but more like kid stuff. We did a kids graphic novel, Pizza Tree, which we got nominated for a Ringo Award for. And he was like, "Dad, I don't want to do kiddie books. I want to do cool stuff like like you." So we came up with this crazy idea of Seadog, who is a puppy whose owner finds a medallion while he's fishing. He puts it around his puppy's neck because he thinks it would make a cool collar, and he instantly transforms into Seadog. He can fly, he has super strength, and he can turn into a fish or any sea creature he wants. And he loves being this super-powered dog so much that he never wants to transform back into a puppy. So he adopts an alter ego as canine rapper Seadog, CDAWG. So I had this crazy idea, and I was like, "Well, Clint, I have this idea. I don't know how you're going to feel about it." and Clint, you can take it away from there.
Yeah, my initial read of the Seadog pitch left me scratching my head a little bit. I wanted to team up with Mark, especially seeing the success of Graveyard Shift, but Seadog was not what I was expecting when I asked if you wanted to team up on a pitch for something. But it actually worked out for the best because like Seadog kind of puts an interesting spin on what we're doing. I think it gives it more of a fun, lighter tone. Where like Codename Killswitch is like my version of the '90s Image, hit games like Wildcats and Cyberforce. This is kind of my homage to all that stuff that I love from the '90s.
Sure.
And then Mark with Seadog teaming up with them, the two kind of play off of each other in a weird way. So it kind of makes for some fun writing, some interesting spins we can do on like those old kind of storylines from the '90s, with having a little bit more of a goofier character like Seadog, but still playing it sort of straight. So it's made for some fun sequences in the stories that we've done.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I thought the first one was fun. I make no bones about stuff. When I look at campaigns, the first thing I do is look at the visuals before I read anything, because I'm an artist, and that's generally why I buy stuff and what attracts me to projects. And I've known of your work before the first one, Clint, and I like the throwback style that you're doing.
Thanks.
I think it's really cool because it's, I like that Jim Lee look,
Mhm.
but it's just not in my wheelhouse, I guess.
Right.
And I looked at the first one, I was like, that looks really cool. So then after I look at it, and I like the visuals, then I'll go back to the top and actually read what it's about, and it sold me on it. So, I got it. And I did. I thought it was a really fun book. So I was glad to see you guys doing a second one. And yours, is this your first 30 or no? 30
Yeah.
days? So are
Yeah,
you guys
we're
going to
not-
extend? You guys are going to extend it then, or?
Yeah, we'll do the second 30 for sure.
Cool.
Yep.
Um,
Plus, it gives me time to. I'm about not more than half, getting close to halfway done with the book. So,
oh wow.
yeah, we fully expect to have the book close to finished when we close down our 60 days, and it's kind of the same plan we did with book one, almost. Except here we started in January. Last year we started in November.
Yeah.
But we're kind of on the same sequence, and we ended up actually getting our book out a couple months before our actual deadline was out shipped to people. And I know that's important with Mark. A lot of these campaigns with the crowdfunding kind of get bad reputations for everybody's waiting around for the book, and it's 6 months. Where's my book? It's a year past its due.
Right.
Where's my book? So both to me and to Mark, it's really important to be timely with getting the fans the product, the book, once we close up the campaign. So we're right on course for doing that again this year. So pretty stoked about that.
Oh, that's cool. Who's doing the coloring on it? Are you doing that too?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's my buddy Andrew Dahlhaus.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He colors a ton of stuff for Brett Booth, and
I've worked with him.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think he's actually mentioned that to me before too. But you know how it is. You go through and you make friends in comics, and you always talk about working on projects together. So it just kind of worked out that we could get Andrew coloring these books for us, and he did an awesome job with the first one. So we were pretty stoked to have him on the second one too. So
that's cool. I realized after I put my headphones in, if I play the video, I'm the only one that's going to be able to hear it. I'm going to unplug my headphones. Hopefully there won't be. Let's see. Hold on. Let's roll this way and see what happens. All right. Let's see. I'll turn the volume up too if I have to.
Seadog and Codename Killswitch returned an all-new 48-page
Oops.
graphic novel by Mark, Poulton and Clint Hilinski, featuring Seadog, Soldier 7, Rebel, Tundra, Neon, Stormborn, and Crotch Rocket. Only on Indiegogo.
guess who's my favorite?
Crotch Rocket?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, totally. I thought I was a genius when I came up with that name.
I love it, man. I love it. So cool. We'll go through the reward tiers. I love the featured because it's kind of like my featured is 75, and I didn't think a triple threat though. I like that. So triple threat gets you what, Mark?
So you get Clint's cover to book 2. We have a Dan Fraga variant cover, which we have a layout right below Clint's cover. Yeah, there it is right there. And then there's a book 1 reprint, and it features John Malin's cover right there. Just the line art version. We used that cover for book 1 and had a colored version. And his artwork's so detailed and great. We thought, as a fan, I know I would like an opportunity to have just the line art. So I think other people would too.
Yeah, I agree. I saw it in the back of. I'm glad you guys printed it in the back of the first one. So I could have it because I like John's stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I love black and white stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And then the regular book, 25. Nice. And that's just the regular cover. Frag Boom.
Yep.
We got for 25. That's cool. You got to get on Dan, get that thing up there finished before.
Yeah, he is so busy right now, not only with Black Flag, but his day job. He asked us when we were launching, and I was like, is it possible to get a layout before we launch? No lie, maybe 45 minutes before our campaign went live, he emailed me and said, here's the layout. So I quick updated our page. So I was very thankful to at least have the layout for the kickoff.
Well,
that's cool.
We know if we get the Dan Fraga, his pencil version, that'll be like a big seller for us too. So fingers crossed he can squeeze us in there. But we were just stoked to have a variant cover by him. And I mean, with Comicsgate following, having Dan's cover and then having Malin's variant. I mean, they're 2 of the most popular artists on there when you look at their campaign. So it's a nice feather in our cap to have variant covers by those guys. So we're very appreciative of it.
No, I agree. Those are 2 guys that I would, when I do my next one for First Man, I gotta, because Bart did a variant cover for me for the first one, and I want somebody different for the second one, so I have to.
I saw all your sketch, and I glanced through them, but it's like sketch variants, but all the different artists you got of like just drawing your First Man character.
Oh yeah.
Those were awesome. You got like a who's who of like the top 20 artists in the last decade.
Well, the funny thing is, I explained it before that, I wrote a book called Drawing Dynamic Comics that came out in the year 2000. I wrote the book over the year of 97 to 98. I had a year to write it. And a lot of those are from that book, a chapter in the book, because I wanted to show people that I wasn't trying to teach anybody how to draw like me. I was just trying to teach the foundation of drawing. And when you learn the foundation, eventually you'll form your own style. And here are examples of that by showing different artists' take on First Man. So I basically contacted all the guys and said, hey, can I reuse these? And they were all like, yeah, go ahead. So
nice.
Yeah. So it just worked out, that's the tough part. Like, for the second campaign, that's another thing I think is something really cool.
I was drooling over some of the artists you got there. I mean, it was pretty cool.
Both covers for 50. Nice. What's the fan pack? Give an explanation of that one.
Sure. So you get Clint and Dan's book 2 cover. You get the mail-in line art variant for book 1, and then you get a sketch from Clint. If you had signed up for our mailing list, you would have got the fan pack for $100 because that's a secret perk that we sent a link out to all the mailing list members.
Oh, that's cool.
So a little incentive to sign up early and get on board. So
yeah. I learned the hard way. Doing like a trading card as a mailing list incentive, very hard because you have to go through the whole mailing list and match it up to who backed.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
this was much simpler, just sending a link out to the mailing list.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I'm definitely learning things along the way as well.
And that's the thing is you only learn them by kind of going through them, and you kind of maybe make a mistake here, and you realize next time it's like, oh, there's a better way to do that.
By the way, I love this page.
I love the way that turned out. Not to brag about myself, but I'm like, I'm really happy with that page.
Are you traditional or are you digital?
I've been traditional most of my career, but I switched to digital about a little over 2 years ago. And the thing is, it's just sped me up so much. Like I can get so much done so much faster that I don't even think I could go back. I could still, ink on paper, but the ability to just not worry about mistakes or anything and just slap stuff down really, it frees me up and it kind of loosens my artwork up too, because I ink myself, so I tend to get stiff because I'll draw and then I'll stiffen it up in the ink. So with digital, it's really loosened me up a lot.
Oh, that's cool. What's the Babe box?
Oh, well, I have an example right here. So it is a collector's case that has Clint's artwork on it. Features Neon and Rebel, probably the two most popular characters from the series, and it has the title on the spine. It has a magnetic closing, and when you open it up, it will have all 5 books. The 2 books from our first campaign, and then all 3 books from the second campaign, plus sketches from Clint, a sketch from Clint and myself, trading cards, a print, and we just added a Seadog pop socket to it. So you're going to get a ton of stuff in this box. I did a collector's box for my last U.S. Assassin campaign, and it was really popular. So I was like, yeah, we should do this again. So yeah, people seem to like it.
That's
Definitely
cool, man. You got, there's so many different cool things that people do with their campaigns. Graham Nolan just showed today that he's doing for Alien Alamo a 30 caliber bullet that says Alien Alamo engraved on it.
Oh, cool.
And it comes in a box and the logo's on the top of the box, and he's going to sign the bottom of the box. So that is
nice.
It's just fun stuff collectors would be interested in. It's kind of just neat stuff that you can add to your campaign.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Dennis? You liking it?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, did I see one? Because I just read Andy's copy. I don't even have one. Did I see any of them in there that you can get the new Seadog 2 and I can pick up Seadog 1 together?
Yeah. So we also have add-ons. So if there's like one cover, if you just want like Clint's cover, or you want Dan's Faraga, Dan Faraga cover, when you go to checkout, there's a option for an add-on, and you can either add like the John Malin line art variant, or you can add the original books, Clint's copy, a cover for book 1, or the colored version of John's cover to book 1.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you can definitely get whichever variants you want of book 1 and 2 combined. And if you just want a specific cover of 1 and a specific cover of 2, you can pretty much pick and choose with the add-on option. But then also in some of the tiers here, you can get like both variants and the line art of book 1. So I want to make sure people are able to get, pick and choose which ones they want of both 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, I said I read it for the first time, so I'm kind of new. I had never heard of the title before. So I can kind of give my opinion to some of the people who also hadn't heard of it. So I've been reading comics since the 70s, and then, John Byrne's X-Men, E-Man was kind of where I kind of started from. My heyday, I would say, was the 90s. That was where I had definitely the most fun. And once I cracked this open, not Andy, I didn't wreck your book, but I cracked it open, was reading it, and it instantly took me back to, in my opinion, it was very 90s nostalgic. The writing, the story was so fun, and I picked up on Seadog versus Seadog right away, and I'm like, oh, he's got an attitude, and in both personas. And the artwork was great. The storytelling was great. It was so reminiscent of the 90s. It was just pure fun. And it's just something that in my mind is missing from a lot of the mainstream books today. I mean, everything's got to have an agenda. Everything's got to have stuff shoved down your throat. man, sometimes I just want to sit down and read a fun, well done comic. And I did not know about your son being involved with it, which is even cooler because, you know, like my kids both enjoy different types of comics as they grew up with me for all of these years and stuff like that. They would enjoy this. So all around, I thought this was a complete package. I enjoyed the heck out of this book, and anybody looking for that type of book absolutely should pick this up.
Thank you so much. That's what, I mean, me and Mark both kind of on the same page with that. That's what we're shooting for. Fun escapism, like the comics we grew up on. Yeah. Like you said, like there's a reason the comic industry is in the shape it's in, is because somehow like they forgot about that. And I mean, that's what we definitely want to get back to, and just have fun escapism, action superheroes that you get a good solid story, and there's no, you know, nothing to it more than that. Like there's escape from the real world, and you know, all the stuff that like is bringing everybody down, and just have 48 pages full of fun, good story, good art. That's definitely what we're shooting for. So we really appreciate it, you know, hearing that from you.
Yeah, no, I totally enjoyed. So I appraise comics for like insurance companies and stuff like that. That's actually what my fun hobby job has been for since I lived up in Illinois. And you know, the problem in the industry right now is we've got so many people, and when they come up, I need you to value my collection. But it's always for the money aspect. And a lot of people today, they're not even reading comics. They're literally picking them up like it's a piece of silver or gold. They're treating it as an investment. And I'm like, you know, that's great. But you know what? Comics are meant to be read. And I said, this is what, before you want to go get them slabbed, how about you crack them open and read them? I bet you will enjoy them more. So it's kind of fun to see more and more people are starting to go that way. But, you know, we're kind of split in the industry right now. This is more of a throwback to people who enjoy comics for what they are.
Definitely.
Mark, you said your son, you know, came up with the idea with you and stuff. Did he have any input in the design of what he looks like in costume?
So when I told Clint about Seadog, he came up with a few choices and like different headshots. Like the first costume he sent, I showed it to Chase, and he loved it. And then he gave us like 5 different head choices, and we went over that, and we both picked the one that we liked the best. So he's been involved. He likes he loves that he's doing something that looks like a mainstream comic, or at least what mainstream comics used to to look like. So because you know, we'd been doing like A Cat Named Haiku or Pizza Tree, more kid oriented stuff. So yeah, he's loving it.
That's cool. So I'm guessing a French poodle wasn't the look you wanted for Seadog because it's not tough enough. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we were thinking more. Well, we don't have a German Shepherd. We have a lab, and we have a cattle dog, and but he loves German Shepherds for some reason, and so I think that's what I told Clint, that I was kind of picturing Seadog as. Oh, and cool. Yeah, so I think Clint just like nailed the look. I think he looks awesome.
Mark, what's your what's the Mark Poulton origin story of getting into comics and stuff?
So I discovered comics through G.I. Joe. I loved the cartoon. I loved the toys. Then I saw the commercial one day, and they did it so well. It was a commercial for the toy line, but it had an animated portion of the cartoon, and then it ended and said, for more G.I. Joe adventures, check out Marvel Comics. And like my head exploded. I was like, what? There's G.I. Joe comics too? So I had my mom take me to, what was it? Walden Books, if you remember them. and they had a rack of comics, and they had that G.I. Joe issue. And I cut out the little square for a subscription, and my mom bought me a subscription. And then I discovered other comics after that, like X-Men and Spider-Man. Yeah. And then like the 90s happened, and that was like the most exciting time to be a comic fan as far as I was concerned. Rob Liefeld was my guy. He was like the first person like I took notice to. It was like, this guy, I don't know what it is, but the way he draws, I'm just like captivated by it. Plus, he was doing commercials for like 501 jeans. He just seemed like the coolest guy. I was like, oh, I want to work with him one day. And then when I early 2000s, I was working on my own comic with my friends. It was a little book called Coney Waves, and I actually caught the attention of Rob Liefeld through his message board. And I took a chance. I sent him a DM one time and said, "Hey Rob, what would it take? One day I'd like to work with you. What do I need to do to get to that level?" And he messaged me back and was like, I think we'll work together one day, Mark. I was like, well, that's nice of him to reply, but I don't think that'll ever happen. I think he was just being nice. But sure enough, one day, it was Thanksgiving 2006. I got a phone call. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered and I said, hello. And on the other end, I heard, Poulton, it's Liefeld. What's up? And Rob asked someone, he tracked someone on the message board down who had my phone number. He gave me a call and we talked for like 2 hours. And when I say he talked for 2 hours. I just went, Rob has the gift of gab, man. I don't know if you've ever listened to his podcast, but he's a great storyteller. And he was just telling me, that he was like impressed with my work ethic. And he had a plan to bring Evangeline back, and he wanted me to be the writer to do it. So this was nice. So this was 2006. Evangeline didn't happen until 2011, and I kept like reminding him of it to the point where he nicknamed me the squeaky wheel. Because I was like, this is my shot. It's not gonna not happen because I didn't put the effort in. But along the way, he would give me like little projects to do. I got to work on a short story for Image United, which was awesome because it was all the Image.
Dude, I was so bummed that that's not concluded.
Yeah,
I love jam books like that.
Yeah, I was just thankful that the issue my short story was in came out. It was issue 2, so I got to script a Bloodstrike story for that. Then we brought back Brigade in 2010. And I got to script that. And then finally we did Evangeline in 2011. And Rob was so happy with that. He brought me with him to DC, and I scripted Hawkman over there for him. And all the while I was working on my own books. Actually, that's how I met John Malin, through Rob's message board, because John was a fan of Rob's too and had done some work for him early on. And I think when Brigade came out, that was like my biggest work to date. So I was feeling pretty confident. I messaged John and was like, hey, I have this idea about the Universal monsters as superheroes. Are you interested? It's called Graveyard Shift. And John was like, you're the first person to ever ask me to draw monsters. I'm in. So that's how Graveyard Shift came together. And it took us like 8 years to bring that to fruition, because every time we would get started on it, John would get a job. I actually showed Rob the first, I think, 10 pages of Graveyard Shift, and he was blown away by it. He was going to help us set it up at Image. But then he decided he was going to bring back Youngblood, and he wanted John to be the artist of that. So he asked my permission if I didn't mind, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to stand in the way of John getting a paying gig, because he and I were doing this on our own dime, Graveyard Shift. So paying work always came first, and then John went on to do some work for Marvel. And then finally the time was right, but it all worked out with Graveyard Shift, because I don't think we would have had the success we're having now if it was published through Image or another publisher.
Right. That's where I discovered John's work, actually, was Youngblood.
Yeah.
And I was like, this stuff's awesome. And I got his Thunderbolts, I got Cable, I got all that stuff. So that's cool. That's very cool. Clint, what about you? What's the Clint origin story?
It kind of crisscrosses around, but it was a little Rob-centric in the beginning, too. I was breaking in the late 90s, kind of like I always would hear from other creators. It's like, you broke in about 2 years too late to hit the boom, and people would like tell me their page rate stories from like, inking a backup story, and they were like making like $30,000 off of a 10-page story. But I broke in around about 97, 98 in like a couple multiple places. One of them was with Rob. I met Rob at Wizard World Chicago, and I showed him my portfolio, and he was actually selling the Captain America ash cans at the table when he was Heroes Reborn. But got the handshake from Rob, got the welcome to Image Comics, and it was really cool. I was stoked. And then at that same convention, I ended up getting a Justice League backup story from a DC editor at the same time, and then making a connection at Dark Horse. So like 98, 99, I think I worked for Dark Horse, DC, and then I actually drew a couple pages on Youngblood, but I was working for Rob like basically when he went through got Left Image, created Extreme, created Maximum Press, and it was all up in the air. So I did some work on Youngblood, but that was about all that I ended up doing for Rob. But broke in, and I did a Justice League story at DC. I started drawing Xena Warrior Princess at Dark Horse. And after that, I did a ton of work for Devil's Due when they were going after. I did a cover on G.I. Joe, but I mostly worked on Voltron. And then I did a bunch of work for Avatar Press on Belladonna that Brian Polito created over there. So through there, I kind of bebopped around from different small presses, and then I worked for Arcana, like Mark mentioned, and worked on The Greatest American Hero, and that's where me and Mark met up, and we're both Rob fans, so we kind of had that in common too going on. And then when the whole crowdfunding thing started, I was like, I had this thought in my head early on before I'd ever heard of Kickstarter, and I was like, if I could just like sell my original art before I created the book, I could raise enough money to make the book. Because I would sell, you know how it is selling original art at conventions, but it costs money to, publish and print your own book. Yeah. And I was like, I could just sell my original art for the book that I'm drawing before I do the book. I could use that money to make the book. Well, in a way, that idea is kind of like Kickstarter and crowdfunding and Indiegogo. And I was like, I wish I would have been a little smarter to put that idea together. But then I started hearing about, some of these pro artists crowdfunding, and finding out about Kickstarter first and then Indiegogo. And then, seeing Mark's name attached with Graveyard Shift and seeing the kind of interest the fans had to that. And I was like, well, here's a no-brainer. Like, send Mark an email and like, hey, you want to collaborate on something? And that's, how Seadog and Codename Killswitch. And I mean, last year was like the first year we did that. And I mean, it was very successful. I was very happy with how it turned out. So doing a sequel is a no-brainer, and that kind of got us to here now. I skipped through a few years there, but it kind of all blurs together after a while. But yeah, really happy with the way the first book turned out and the fan response. And I mean, we're outpacing the first book by significant amount. So very excited with the way the sequel has been going. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So, guys, I'm going to have to sign off. I have to take my son to his orthodontist appointment now, but I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Dennis. And
nice to meet you, Mark.
All right. See you guys.
Take it easy, Mark.
Later.
See you, Mark.
Now that he's out of here. Just kidding. Now, this looks really good, man. I think it looks cool. I'm going to bounce us back to this.
No, it's been a lot of fun to work on.
Yeah.
And the nice thing with the crowdfunding that I found is when you raise the money for the book ahead of time, and you can do well and have that fan following, it like frees you up to even have more time to spend on the book. Like a lot of times prior to crowdfunding and stuff, I was just trying to crank through stuff as fast as you can to hit a deadline.
Right.
The page rate was probably crummy, so it wasn't like you could like spend the amount of time you wanted to on the art. But with crowdfunding, it frees you up to like really kind of do your best work. to, not necessarily worry about that deadline if you give yourself a good enough time frame. And I love to be able to just really go super detailed on the pages. So that's been the really great thing for me, is to, really set aside the time to make the book look as good as it can be.
So do you miss not having original art then, since you're doing digital? Because like I draw the stuff. I assume, what do you draw on? Do you have a Cintiq, or are you using an iPad, or?
Cintiq, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a Cintiq, and I know, like, when I was doing research, because I did a ton of research on digital before I switched over, because
Sure.
I wasn't even working for major publishers, and I was still selling a lot of my original artwork at conventions, and that's always the downfall with digital is, if you're working at DC and Marvel, I sat next to, and I'm not going to remember the name of the artist now, at Chicago Con, and he was one of Bendis's guys, and he was working on X-Men, and he was working all digital, and I'm like, well, how does it, like, that's really got to hurt you selling the original art. And he said that he would do numbered prints of those books, and then would sign them, and that's how he sold it. So he was still making money that way. But for me, the trade-off for how much time I can spend on a page, but still not slow me down, is worth it for not having the original art to sell. Because, and that's the other part of the crowdfunding, is we're doing well enough on the front end of the crowdfunding that there's enough interest in the books and excitement about that I'm not necessarily worried about the original art after the fact. We can raise enough money to do the books the way I want to and make the book look as good as I want it to. And so I'm not necessarily worried about not having that original art on the back end to sell. So for me, it's just like, do the project and then move on to the next project and crowdfund that. And yeah, there would be extra money, I guess, if I, and then there's probably I could probably do some of the covers as original art, but you get spoiled with the digital. Like I do not miss whiteout. I do not miss laying over stuff where inks got messed up. Like my life has become more relaxed with digital. The ability to erase inks and fix inks, it's taken a stress level away from me that I didn't know it was there for years.
Yeah, it's tough because I draw everything. I draw and do my pencils digitally, but then I print them out in, light blue on Bristol 11x17.
You bet.
And ink everything traditional still.
Yeah.
And, I do whiteout stuff, but then more often than not, I'll take them after I scan it. I'll still take it into Clip Studio to do some special effect stuff.
Sure.
With hatching or whatever. So I do a mix, but I just love having originals.
Oh yeah. And I get it. You've done a ton of stuff, so your stuff is going to sell. And like I said, I'm not a big name guy, but I sell my stuff at conventions and it does pretty well. But for me, and now with the way coronavirus has just killed the convention circuit, for the last year, it's obviously not missing anything. But for me, I like the projects. I like focusing on the project enough to the point where I'm not worried about that sale of the artwork afterwards. And I guess if I ever get back to the point where some of that stuff is so in demand, like I said, maybe I would do the covers traditionally, just because obviously covers are going to be a huge draw. If Seadog and Codename Killswitch turns into some, growing this massive audience, and by Seadog and Codename Killswitch number 5, we're got this huge following, then yeah, I probably will do the covers, traditionally, just to have that original art to sell. But for right now, it's just, doing enough that we can, do the next book and have success with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. What is the deal with, I know Pirate Queen's done, right? That's totally done, right?
Yeah. Well, we haven't done our final closeout. We're still in demand.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is the book shipped or no?
Not shipped yet. No.
Oh, okay.
The book is done. We got to send it to the printers. Mandy is actually shipping out her book Super Dead right now, and basically she'll finish out shipping out Super Dead. We'll have Pirate Queen to the printers, and then she'll start shipping out Pirate Queen. So she's staying plenty busy. But yeah, I would probably by the end of February, which is what our goal was, we'll be having Pirate Queen at the printers and probably start shipping it out, hopefully close to the end of that. And we'll probably do one final closeout in demand before we shut it down, just because that always kind of, those last stragglers will, want the book. There's still fans out there that probably haven't jumped on, so we want to hit everybody up that we can find to close it out. So, but yeah, this has basically been my first year in Comicsgate, just kind of learning about it. Like, I didn't know that much about it 2 years ago, really. I didn't know it existed.
Sure.
And, basically seeing what Mark did with Graveyard Shift, and obviously Ethan has gotten everybody's attention with Cyberfrog. So to just become part of the community and do these projects through Indiegogo this last year, and have the success that we've had with Seadog and Codename Killswitch, and then Pirate Queen was even a step up from that, and now the third book, Seadog and Codename Killswitch 2, it's like each one we've done is leveled up each time. So I couldn't have asked for more. It's been going really well, and it allows me to keep drawing. So I'm very thankful, appreciative, and happy about that.
That's cool. What's the plan after this one? Anything you can tell?
Yeah, I've got my own. I've got a stock of my own. I've got a stack of creator-owned books that I'd like to do. I've got a book called The Blue Bombshell. That's kind of a takeoff of Power Girl, and Comicsgate fans seem to like the good girl art, and I kind of have a knack for that myself. Pirate Queen was pretty popular amongst them, so I've got a Blue Bombshell book that I'm probably going to do late spring, early summer. That's just me. And it's very the good girl art. It's a bit on the more risque side. So I think there'll be a certain fan base out there that will enjoy that. And then me and Mandy are already planning out Pirate Queen 2. Cool. Pirate Queen 2 will be this summer, I would imagine. Mandy's got a ton of stuff up in the air that she's doing herself. So it's just me and her sitting down and hammering out a timeline for Pirate Queen 2. And then there will be Seadog and Codename Killswitch 3. So, I've got my own stuff that I'll mix in. But, yeah, Pirate Queen and Seadog and Codename Killswitch are going to keep me busy for the foreseeable future. And then I'll just kind of mix some of my own creations in there with it. So, ideally, I would love to put out like 4 projects a year, and just kind of keep those books moving. And I've got tons of stuff I want to draw. It's just a matter of making sure that there's a fan base out there for them, and just making sure that everything gets out in a timely manner for everybody. So that's the plan. Just going to continue and hopefully kind of keep building on that success. That's
cool. What? Dennis, you have any? I'm hogging.
Well, I heard you mention something earlier that piqued my interest, but I wasn't going to cut in because your stuff's more important right now. But I heard you say Greatest American Hero.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
As in the TV show, as in the William Cat? There was a comic. How have I never seen that? That was one of my favorite shows.
I know. I was
late 70s or early 80s.
This is one of my fun, where I got to have that fun comic experience as a fan. It was through Arcana, and I had been hooked up with Arcana and done some other books for them, and somehow they got the license to the Greatest American Hero, and this was probably 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. And so what happened was William Cat had talked the writer, and I'm not going to remember the writer of the show's name, but he did everything. He did the A-Team. He was the guy where at the end of the show, he'd be typing on his typewriter, and it was like his little call sign. He'd type on the typewriter and pull the paper out, and it was Stephen Cannell, I think was his name. So, and he had created the A-Team and just a million shows. He was one of those mega TV writers from the 80s. So William Katt had talked Cannell into letting him do something with the rights to do a comic book, because all these comic book stuff were getting turned into movies. So Cannell had said, you can do a comic book based off the original script from the TV show. And then they had gotten hooked up with Arcana, and then they hired me as the artist. So I had drawn the whole first issue of the book, but what they really wanted was they wanted to make a big splash at San Diego Comic Convention, because everything, you know, there was tons of Hollywood people out there. And I think William Katt really wanted something to happen at the show to get it developed into a movie, basically, and so that he could be attached to it somehow. And which I completely understand. It's like that would be a big opportunity for him. Yep. But there was another dude attached to it somehow. And so that guy, like, these are one of these, like, I would always go to these conventions on my own dime. So because I was the artist, this guy was going to fly me out and set me up in a room for the convention. So I was like, yes, sign me up for that. I am definitely down for that, because San Diego is expensive as an artist. So when I got there, and I mean, I knew this ahead of time. So William Katt was going to be there. Is it Culp?
Robert Culp?
Robert Culp was going to be there, and Connie Selica.
Oh, so no way! Trifecta.
I was stoked. So they actually had their own panel in one of the halls, and I got to sit up there. I'm not sure why I was up there, just as the artist, but I got to meet William Katt, Connie Selica, Robert Culp. Got to sign at the table with all those guys, and it was just a suit. I mean, I remember being 10 years old, laying on the floor and watching The Greatest American Hero, and just being so excited that there was a superhero TV show on, because I love comics and superheroes.
Oh, absolutely.
I was a huge fan of that show. Oh, there we go. Yep.
Oh, nice.
There's the cover.
Question for it. So was this like a retelling of like the first season, or was this continued on after the original show? I think there were 2 seasons, if memory serves.
Yep. It was a retelling of the 2-part opening pilot. They had a pilot episode that was a 2-parter, where, you know, he got the briefcase with the suit from the aliens, and I think there was like skinheads or something that they were fighting that were going to try and take over the United States or something, and it was an odd story, but yeah, we got to retell. They let us retell that original pilot as a mini series, basically. So it ended up being they broke it down into a 4-issue mini series. So that's what we were able to end up doing. But it was, for me, the coolest part was meeting all the stars of the show, but then also like spending time hanging out with a guy who was a star of a show from like 20 years ago. Yeah. And it's like some of those cliches you hear about of like Hollywood stars after the fact. And like William Katt was super nice, but you could also just tell like he really wanted something to happen that weekend with the show, and he was really like all about like making connections and stuff. And I remember the biggest thing with him was he hated the way that his hair looked on the TV show. He had that big mop of curly blonde hair.
Yep.
And I mean, as a fan of the show, I drew him exactly like he looked in the show. I wanted to look exactly like the show. I figured that was important. And the first notes, I would like literally get direct emails from William Katt about corrections that he wanted. And his main thing was he wanted his hair to look like modern, stylized. He didn't want that big moppy mess of blonde hair. So I would get rigorous notes of like, you need to like fix the hair and, you know, like make it look modern. I'm like, but you want you.
That's not how you look. Nobody's.
No, it's like everybody remembers how you looked from the show. They're gonna wonder why I changed it. So that was like the only thing that was slightly disappointing for me. And then the 2 other things was Robert Culp was as grumpy a curmudgeon as he was on the show in real life.
No way.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure. Mark tells the story that they had to carry his bag, and I didn't even know about this part. Mark had to carry his bag, and it was just heavy bag, and it was nothing but like what is it, the 11 by, or not, the little snap pictures
Oh
for
yeah,
him
yeah.
to sign at the 9x11s or whatever you call them, and it was just a bag of photos of him to sign at the table, and like they had to like lug that from the hotel to the convention center for Robert Culp. But and then the last thing, and this is the best part of it, Connie Selica was as wonderful as she was beautiful, and she was still like, she was older at this point, still
Yeah.
gorgeous, and just a ray of sunshine. She was so nice to everybody there and wonderful to talk to, and like, I can see why you were a star because you are a wonderful person. So it was a very fun experience for like somebody who was a fan of the show, and
Yeah.
that's probably one of my best comic book convention experiences that I ever had. So you always go to these shows every year and you meet different people and you get to meet celebrities and stuff from shows. But that's probably the one story that like I always enjoy telling because it was so much fun, but it was also like a little peek behind the scenes of how these celebrities are in real life, and it just kind of
Yeah.
was fun experience.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I know I got something to look for when I go hunting at the conventions. You
Yeah.
do most of the
That's it.
conventions. I'm like, how have I never seen it? Not only do I not own one, with all the conventions that I do and all the books that I handle, I have never seen those. So that's why. Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, there's some super rare Greatest American Hero comics out there.
That's
and,
awesome.
and like I'll be at a convention and people still, and this was over 10 years ago, people will still bring up the Greatest American Hero comics. I'm like, yes, nice find. And I'm always more than happy to sign those.
What it looks like there only 3 of them?
There might have only been 3. I can't remember if it was like a 4-issue or 3-issue miniseries. I know we did one with the Obama cover
Yeah.
on issue 2. And that was another note that I got from William Catt, is like, he's like, President Obama is taller than me. Like I must have drawn him taller in the cover.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to adjust it because he's like, no, President Obama's taller than me. That's not accurate. And I'm like, oh, I put you about the same height just because visually like no, I should be about like this many inches shorter. I'm like, all right, okay, I can fix that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. You didn't fix it. He's still tall.
Oh,
There may have been a deadline involved.
This gentleman would like to know, what is your favorite project?
Favorite project that I've worked on?
Yeah, I guess it says, what is your favorite project?
Well, and I mean, like I love what I'm doing right now. I love to be able to do my own, creator-owned stuff. But like, I grew up a Superman, Batman, DC Comics fan. So, like, one of the first gigs I got out of the gate was that Justice League story in an 80-page giant. And it was a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern story with the Martian Manhunter. But on the last page, I got to draw the entire Justice League in the watch. Was it the Watchtower? It was one of their headquarters in the late '90s. They kind of switched around a little bit, but I got to draw Superman in a DC published comic, and like I'm a huge Superman fan, so that'll probably always be my favorite project, getting to draw the whole Justice League and getting to draw Superman in a DC comic. So that's probably always going to be my favorite one.
That's
cool.
What was I always like asking this. What was the first comic book you ever bought? Do you remember?
I've got this one box of like the stuff that I got when I was probably like 8 to 10, and like just off the grocery spinner rack. But it was, I can't tell you exactly what the first one was, but I have this box that they're all beat to hell. They're all just like, I read them a million times, and for some reason there's always a lot of Thor in there. Even though I was more of a Spider-Man and Superman fan, it's like, why do I have so many copies of Thor? I like Thor, but he wasn't my favorite. But for the one that I can remember, I couldn't even say. I got that little one of my old favorites was, I've got that mini comic of Batman versus the Hulk, drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Oh yeah.
I'll say that's like one of my favorite like early comics because I love Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's art.
You don't have the treasury size of it?
No, I've got the little mini one that's super thick.
Oh yeah,
I've got the horrible version of it instead of the treasury size one where you can really like just drool over the artwork. No, I got the little mini one for some reason. And I don't even know how I got it, but yeah, that's like one of my early favorites.
Dennis likes Thor. He likes it so much he bought like duplicates at this con over the weekend we went to. Like, look at these $5 and $10 Thors I got. I know I already have them, but I need to own them again.
No, see, the problem is my X-Men are done, so I'm picking up things that I enjoy. And going back in old Surfer, old Thor, I've got from second series of Surfer on, but I don't have all the first. Same thing with the old Thor, anything in like the 160s to 200, I'm missing a few. Well, I've got a database, so I made sure I updated the database. Apparently there was a glitch when we left for the con, and I got my list, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that one or that one or that one or that one. Oh, that Defenders. Oh, look at that. At home, nope, had them all. So I wound up, So Andy might need a few of them, but it kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, I might be picking those up. Wayne here says Jack Kirby Surfer is the best. I can't argue with that. I am a big John Buscema Surfer fan.
I was going to say John Buscema's Surfer wasn't too bad.
Nope.
I mean, I think John drew him more. So
yeah. Well, I've got a lot of the Kirby, like Captain America. I've got a bunch of those where I've got the one storyline. I was always so proud of myself when I could, like, because I was bad about like picking up comics and I would miss spots, and like we didn't have a comic book shop around here, so if I missed an issue, like I wasn't getting it for years later. But like I got the ones where there was those. It was all the Kirby stuff, but like the guys were like globby and like Cap would punch his arm into him and it would like keep his arm. I can't remember what storyline that was. Oh, and it was it wasn't MODOK. It was see, this is where my memory is always. It was the guy who had the scream face.
Yeah, Artem Zola.
Yep.
Zola, yeah.
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, because, at that castle.
Yeah. Yeah, because my first comic was a Mike Zeck Captain America.
Oh.
And they did a storyline with Zemo, whatever.
Yep.
And Artem Zola, and then those yellow globby dudes.
Yes, yep. I remember that. And didn't he have like his buddy Artie with him or something?
Yeah,
who was like
Artie.
a chubby guy. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, Zeck stuff. Man, that was gorgeous.
Oh, that was, like I said, the first. I do remember it was issue 275 was the first comic book I ever bought, Captain America, and they just put out in October last year an Epic collection trade paperback in almost Zeck's entire run.
Oh, nice.
So I had to get, even though I still have all the issues, I had to get that just so I can have it as a nice fat trade.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love that stuff so much. So. Very cool. Well, let's show everybody the campaign one more time before we blow out. Here it is. So we were talking to Clint, the artist, Clint Hilinski, the artist of Seadog and Codename Killswitch. Mark was on earlier, the writer. He had to bug out, but back it. It's 6 days to go, and give it some love. This is a good book. Dennis read issue 1 over the weekend. I read it when it came out. It's a fun book. If you like the stuff in the 90s, you'll definitely love this. So definitely give it a look and share it out. Let me actually pop the link in the chat. That would be a good thing to do. And I believe it's in the description below on YouTube as well. So let me just do this real quick.
Yep, and book 1 and 2 are available through this campaign. So if you missed out on book 1 the first time around, you can still get it. You can get the original book 1 cover by me, or you can get the line art variant by John Malin. And then we've got the Dan Fraga variant for book 2. if you want to kind of mix and match, you can do add-on while you're checking out to kind of pick and choose which covers you want. So want to make sure you have all the options available for you. And then there is also the Babe box, which is a collector's container that Mark showed earlier in the video that contains all 3 variant covers from book 2 and all 2 variant covers from book 1. So you'll be getting all the books. You'll be getting all the prints and the collector's cards and sketches from me and Mark in the Babe box there. So it's kind of gives you more bang for your buck. You get everything with all the campaigns in that collector's box.
That's awesome. And we'll go out on one last question, which is what's Clint's favorite Marvel superhero?
Ooh, my favorite Marvel superhero. I mean, I have so many that I like, so it's always hard because you never think your favorite, but I would say it's like close between Spider-Man and Wolverine. I'd probably lean just towards Spider-Man just because he's a more fun, lighthearted character, and he has so many troubles with women, like we all do.
That's right.
But Wolverine's always got that great backstory, and if he drops into Madripoor and for whatever, have they ever explained why he had a alter ego as Patch? Why they would call him Patch? Is that
Dennis? Any idea? I don't know.
They've talked, Patch, they kind of went through, if you remember the Wolverine origins, when they brought out James Howlett, and started bringing that origin. And the problem is, I don't think it's ever really, they explained it, but when you look at it in entirety, it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. So, I don't think there's ever been a really perfectly centered continuity on it, but
You probably don't want like a full answer. You just want like a little bit of an answer that leads to a bigger mystery, so you can do stories off of that, But like I just remember at one point he was called Patch and he had an eye patch. I'm like,
yeah,
the Wolverine, why does he have an eye patch? And it's like, just adds to some story somebody can tell down the road with it, I guess.
Pretty much. Well, might as well touch on my campaign quickly before we go, and then we'll wrap it. There it is, First Man, graphic novel by me. It's 64 pages, perfect bound. It's cosmic. It's cool. It is my. It's about my love of Silver Age comic books and stories like that, like Captain Marvel, the Jim Starlin stuff. Basically, Luke Henry's this college kid right here that gets imbued with this essence, the last essence of the 10. And Monarch, the big bad guy right here, is on a hunt to gain all the essences, and he has 9 of the 10. So he's come to Earth hunting down that last one. Luke changes into this guy, Apollo, when he merges. It's kind of like the Firestorm thing. So when Luke's in that form, he can hear Apollo in his head. Penumbra, the female, has her own agenda. She has a special tie to the essence that inhabits Luke Henry. Like I said, it's a 64-page graphic novel. It's square bound. It ends on Friday. I would love your support. Support indie creators. We'll play the video real quick here.
First Man, you know the drill. A college kid is imbued with great power and likes it. Penumbra has other plans, and Henry delivers it to Monarch. A fun 64-page action-packed comic book, harkening back to the glory days of Marvel Comics, only on Indiegogo.
Boom, short and sweet. So please check out my campaign. Check out Seadog as well, and Codename Killswitch, and let's do it. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. I had fun. I love talking to other creators. So
oh yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, this was good. And Dennis is getting to meet cool people besides me. See, Dennis, I'm expanding your world.
Thanks, Andy.
Well, I try.
Well, it's like I think we all miss comic book conventions, and this is kind of like a little internet comic book convention because you get to like visit with the creators and kind of talk comics, and like everybody loves comics and like loves talking about comics. So it's kind of like a little patch until we can all show up at comic book conventions again.
Yeah,
right.
we just were at the one this weekend, and it was a nice small one, but it's mainly dealers. So and dealers is cool because we're always looking for books, but the other half are all the creators and creators and publishers, and we don't get to see any of them right now and talk to them. Yeah,
pretty much. So. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Remember to please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little notification bell so you know when we go live. And I know Dennis and I will be back on Wednesday to talk about what funny books we picked up from the store. I think we're reviewing Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Yep. We're going to review that one. That was an interesting story. So you're going to want to tune in for that.
It was actually pretty good. Dennis got me to read something out of my usual. So,
Yep.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.